tough. People are wondering, how come Khalwale, who was elected on UDF, he has been in dalliance with the CORD right from the day one, and he has never been subjected to a by-election. The reason is this, Maura, the Political Parties Act, Section 14, go and read, subsection 5, 6, and 7. It provides that in 5, I would be disciplined if I was promoting the policies and blah 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 of another political party. But in my appreciation and wisdom of the law, I have never promoted any other party. All I was doing it with a coalition. A coalition, to be with another coalition, is not a crime under the law. But as soon as the new act was amended and signed into law by the president, I quickly formally joined Fort Kenya, and the country saw me being received at party headquarters, and quickly I was made the deputy party leader because I respect the rule of law. I expect my colleagues Mungaro and so on and what have you to lead by example. If they are as popular as they say that they are going to deliver seats for Jubilee, if they are not following the Eurobond proceeds that they share every weekend, let them subject themselves to a by-election.
Yeah, this is an opportunity for you to respond. In the next 1 week or so, you will not have a job.
First and foremost, I think when I listen to Boni Khalwale, he is one man who is speaking from both ends of his mouth. Because on one hand he is saying that he never promoted the ideas of another political party or political formation, yet he has been doing so. Number two, he is also misleading the public by trying to insinuate that now he has the liberty. He has the liberty to move from UDF and join Fort Kenya as a deputy party leader, not elected but appointed by his party leader. The issue why I'm saying that is because really I think when parties have merged and UDF rightfully has merged with Jubilee Party, then he automatically becomes a member of Jubilee Party. However, he needs to write, formally, saying he's not a member of Jubilee Party before he formally joins Fort Kenya, which is not what he's done. He's gone ahead and become a deputy party leader of his fellow kinsman Luhya, so that they can consolidate the Luhya base. And that is very important. The other thing I want to say is that Peter Kaluma is somebody I really respect. But Peter Kaluma must tell us where he's sick, because he's just come from the hospital. And I wonder whether it affects his mental faculties, because he says he still has bandages, although we cannot see anything on the head. But I am doubting, because he is a distinguished lawyer who should tell us that we need to follow the due process. But the law does not apply automatically. If you look at the so-called letters, which I am yet to receive, Adwok, and again you see Adwok Kaluma, I need to point that also, Adwok Kaluma, Mwaura and others, the issue is very clear. I have made it very clear that I would want to follow the voices of the people of Ruiru. And Ruiru, we know very well the political aspirations there. And if that is the case, as to why I would be subject to this, I am telling the people of Ruiru to listen carefully. I want to come back to parliament, not as nominated, but elected. And why am I saying this? Because I have the vision and I have the vigor to serve my people. Now, Kaluma does not tell us, number one, that you have first to appear before a disciplinary committee. Adwok has said that he's already recommending to NEC, just listen, he's already recommending to NEC for the removal of the so-called defectors, and the burden of proof of deeming is actually on the accuser, which happens to be the political party. It needs to be demonstrated. It has not been properly demonstrated. Number two, how do you say, how do you say that then the disciplinary committee has already done its job without anybody having appeared there? And also remember, this is mischief, because no single member has received a letter. Then the other thing is, even when you look at the procedure, after the party procedure, whatever that it will be in that kangaroo court, then you follow to the political parties dispute tribunal. After that, then you go to the High Court. That due process must be followed. And remember, Isaac Lenaola is very clear. Isaac Lenaola is very clear. And he says, and we'll go by that ruling, that if you are nominated on the basis of special interest groups, and it's a record, the case of Robert Ngutemi versus Wiper Party and Muriuki, that if you are nominated on the basis of special interest groups, case law, you cease representing your political party per se, and you represent those special interests.
Are you saying, therefore, that you would go to court if at all ODM decides to remove you?
Of course, that is my right, and my lawyers are there to do the job.
The money is available to them.
Let's talk about another individual. Let's talk about another individual who has also defected, but we are not talking about him, and is nowhere on these newspapers today. I don't know why. Ababu Namwamba. Ababu Namwamba, we know he resigned as the Secretary General of ODM. He's still a member of Parliament for Budelangi under ODM. Yesterday he went ahead and launched a rebranded Labour Party of Kenya as the much touted third force. He is a defector as well, isn't he?
Yes.
Certainly, if he did that. Yeah, but I didn't watch it. I don't believe the Ababu Namwamba we were with in college. You know, Ababu was fourth year when I was a first year at the University of Nairobi. I don't believe that is the man to launch a party.
That's a photo of the launch yesterday. You can see Julia Ojiambo there next to him and David Makali as well.
Ababu launched a party in darkness. I really will be calling him when I leave here. Yeah, but if he indeed did that, then he's a defector. And it would be unfortunate, because consistently in my media appearances, I've consistently said that Ababu left his position as Secretary General of ODM, but he was still serving in ODM.
Yes.
Of course, if that happened, then he's caught under the trap of Mwaura. He is a former member of Parliament, which would be unfortunate. So Ababu is somebody who showed leadership. Way back when we were in the university, was I remember the time I was joining college, the chairman of Kenya Law Students Society, just the only law students organization in the country. So the leadership potential in him is huge, and I don't want to believe that if you see the caste in which Ababu is now finding himself, that is not the caste of Ababu. Ababu had risen to national leadership. You cannot have Ababu with Julio Ojiambo on the right and Makali on the left. You know what I'm talking about. Ababu is bigger than that. But I wish him well. Safe to say that as a lawyer, if indeed he did what I'm seeing, those photos are not what we call Photoshop, then he's a former member of Parliament also. He's a stranger as well. And Bonnie will tell you the situation in Western Kenya. Only if where he goes is affiliated to CORD will he ever see the House of Parliament. I think that would be a big loss to the country. It's a great debater. Yes. But let me clarify, two issues which are arising from this debate. When we were bringing merger provisions into the Political Parties Act, it took a lot of thinking. Even a memorandum had to come from the president. And we were asking, what do we do with the political rights of members of parties that choose to go into merger arrangements without their willingness to join? And so we brought a provision to say, if your party decides to go for a merger, you are a serving member of Parliament or leader, you don't agree to join the new merger arrangement, then your political rights have to be reserved. You have the liberty to remain outside as an independent or to join the party of your choice. And so Bonnie Aluale does not need to do anything. He's not a defector. He'll continue to serve the people. UDF he could go from UDF to Ford Kenya, even from Ford Kenya to wherever he wants to go. He's safeguarded under that law, which came through a presidential memorandum. You remember at that time they were struggling now to merge, and there were those difficult issues. Let me also clarify, this issue Honorable Mwaura is talking about, that parties are still sitting to discipline them. Remember, Fred, I started by saying there is no role for a political party when you are deemed by the Constitution and other legislation to have resigned from your party. You cease to be a member of your party. Remember, your political party can only subject you to disciplinary process if you are a member of that party. So really I'm saying that if the disciplinary committee of ODM wrote to Mwaura and others, they did so in error, and those letters are superfluous. What remains is for the Speaker of National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate. And look at the language of Article 101. the respective speakers of the houses of parliament shall give a notice of vacation of office to the IEBC, and the IEBC in the subsequent, sub-article says the IEBC shall proceed and arrange a by-election within 90 days.
A quick question, yes or no? Are you still a member of ODM?
I have made it very clear.
Yes or no?
I have made it very clear in my mind, and I even went to the party leader. I went to the party leader, and I told him of my intention to work with the president. I mean, it's on record. So
are you still a member?
I have made it very clear in that regard that I want to serve the people ruling the next general election as an elected member of parliament. I have made it very clear of my intentions of where I want to run.
Well, today Isaac Moro was...
We will release him to go and start campaigning.
I think I will still insist on the issue of the rule of law. Why do we make laws in our country and we are not observing them? Actually, looking at that picture as it is, that is Ababu advancing the interests of another political party. I remember participating in the formation of the Political Parties Act. Actually, what should happen is that actually we should see a by-election. Whereas we were having this conversation with Kaluma, is that also the law is the rule of law is an issue of cultivation. You remember in the year 1997, NDP cooperation and then merger, eventually the dissolution of NDP. What happened? We did not have a actually it started as independence. When people moved from KADU and they joined KANU, what happened? There was no by-election. It was seen to be an act of national unity to bring the... Yet what should have happened at independence is that the people who moved from KADU to KANU should have actually faced an election. 2002, the only person who stood by the principles of the party was Shemo Chodho. All the members who moved from NDP to join KANU were not subjected to a by-election because it was politically expedient to be a united front. So the point is, you actually see,
so
and for me, as in, that's why I'm pointing out Kaluma.
But the Constitution allowed so. I can tell you. I can tell you. Let me correct you.
Please.
I remember a very young lawyer under the tutelage of Professor PLO Lumumba. And I remember when the current CORD leader was merging his party, ODM, with the KANU. It was merger by dissolution or absorption. NDP was being dissolved to be swallowed by KANU. One of the things he did ask Lumumba and other people he consulted then, and I remember was a hand person for Lumumba. We worked throughout the night, going through the various facets of mergers. And we looked at the Constitution, and that is why Lumumba was being consulted. And the Constitution was clear that the parties could be merged either way without subjecting people to the elections. Remember, it was section 77, something of the Constitution. And so it's about the legal regime under which people are operating per time.
But I was pointing out that
I want you to allow me. Yes.
But I was pointing out that the issue of rule of law is also cultivated. For example, what we are witnessing currently, like you have people launching another. You participate in the launch of a political party, but you still reserve the seat. So I think we need to also the law. What is the name? They say the Constitution is a document. We have to breathe life into it and cultivate a culture, Honorable Kaluma, whereby the rule of law is upheld. Why are you passionate about the rule of law? Because you took an oath as an advocate that I will defend and protect the rule of law. I would want tomorrow morning, for example, when you are in the position of Honorable Maura, you are able to say, as a matter of principle and integrity, and I am going to step down. So the challenge is we have been inconsistent, and of course you understand it's also because also the politics of the day. Because I can tell you, Maura, if you go and run in Ruiru, in any other political party apart from Jubilee, you actually will lose by 9 a.m. in the morning. We have also to be truthful.
Okay. Khalwale, about Namwamba.
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate him for finally making up his mind and indicating to the people of Budalangi the party is moving to. We were always waiting. Now that he's moving out of ODM, where is he going? It's good now he's made it clear that he's going to Labour Party. I would like him to go a notch higher. And because I can't force him, let me not look like I'm setting him up for anything. Let me just advise him that having formed Labour, please quickly clarify that Labour will then be a constant party of CORD. For as long as he continues talking about the issue of third force, the people of Western Province, where I was born, bred, and represent, they will start taking him as a spoiler for our efforts to ensure that we are all in CORD, so as to end the misrule of Jubilee.
But Fred, are you seeing here we've already seen he's pointing out that if he joins CORD, Ababu it's okay. So but the legally he actually first needs to face a by-election and then maybe.
Are you saying that? Because I didn't want to speak for too long. Yes, I would also have added that upon that clarification, when we now go for the by-election in Budalangi, we shall be looking at him as the fire as friendly fire. But the moment we go and we take it that is Jubilee, then we know.
Buonamora Munamamba is a colleague almost your age. You worked with him in ODM and even in Parliament. Seeing him because he had disappeared from the national scene. Now we're seeing him return. Do you think he's made the right move?
I think Ababu Namwamba is somebody I truly respect. In fact, when we were campaigning for the ODM slots way back in 2014, I was to be his deputy. And I remember even I coined something saying, Ababu ndio jawabu, Ababu ndio sababu. And it was very popular with the electorate around that time. And consistently, myself and him and Sakaja and other young Turks have been mentioned as like the hope for the future of this country. I don't know why, but I've seen it, Mutula Kilonzo and others. And now seeing him now, maybe he felt he was not properly accommodated in ODM. And you know, when a son has grown up, he goes to start his own house, and the living is not very good. I mean, it's sometimes acrimonious. Parents don't want to release their children because they have fear. And of course, this is politics. It's not just, you know, the analogy of a family. I wish him well. I think he's an extremely brilliant individual. I think he had risen to the point of being presidential. When we ran around the country, we actually realized that we could run a presidential campaign with very limited resources. And I think that realization is quite, shocking, because then you can galvanize people. But at the same time, Ababu, my friend, and I have told him this, and I want to say that he has a knack of playing into the hands of his political distractors. He needs to be a little bit more observant. I think he is the one who seemed to have studied the transfer window, if you like, and he needs to be a bit long-termish in terms of how he does his political strategy, so that then therefore he doesn't just, you know, look at it now and then without thinking about that other thing. But he's a man, he's a young man, he's a fairly young man who is trying to find his way. And I believe we've not had the last of Ababu Namwamba. I think anybody in this country with any form of political formation would love to have Ababu on his side, because really he's an asset. That there's a reason why he was called Generali. There's the reason why he led ODM and CORD Reloaded, and I think we must applaud him. And maybe what he needs to do is to reduce the number of political enemies. Some of them out of jealousy because of his gift, but also others because of maybe the way he has dealt with them in the past.
But surely, Mohora, you should be fair to the viewers. When you say that Ababu was not properly accommodated in the ODM, what more could have been given to him? He was given Secretary General on a silver platter.
The most powerful position.
Most powerful. Number two, he was made the youngest serving minister by Raila Odinga. The fact that Otuoma and Fred Gumo were coming from the same area with him, notwithstanding, Raila went out of his way. He really wanted to nurture him. So when in the name of the youth you want to do unreasonable things, please at least have the courtesy of telling us the truth.
But Bonnie, let me answer you. Very clearly. Number one, first, the youth have got every desire and aspiration. The youth have got every desire and aspiration to actually rise, to whatever levels. And the challenge of politics is that there is no hierarchy. You can actually move from a nominated MP even to president if people so decide. We have seen, DJs being elected president, like Rajoelina in Madagascar. Now, that is where the problem is. People can nurture you, and that's very good, because I think we must commend, the mentorship that has happened in political parties. And that is not something that can be gainsaid. But the challenge is, Ababu Namwamba, the issue was that he asked to be Secretary General after Professor Yang Nyong'o by political mentor. Yet people thought that he should have asked for legal secretary, the legal affairs secretary. So his ambition of becoming Secretary General was seen by some certain quarters as unwelcome. And Ababu Namwamba really is one person who swore by the name of Raila Odinga when there was a disputed presidential election in 2007 and first came to Parliament. So therefore, really, let's just accept. I mean, it's not him that it has happened to him in the first place. When now you start fighting your father, maybe if you like, then you move to your own house and found a family. The issue of him having been minister is completely acceptable, that he was given that opportunity despite the fact that you had to distribute the positions. What we need to agree is that really the way he was as a Secretary General of the party, he never really had the real power. That is the truth. You could see people issuing statements against, like him being the Secretary General. And also, let's accept, Ababu Namwamba was never given the position of Secretary General on a silver platter. I am even the one who proposed a kind of a truce committee soon after the Men in Black thing at Kasarani on 28th of February 2014. The issue is that he had actually even had to have free and fair elections that day. Ababu would have won the position of Secretary General.
Gentlemen, we need to wrap up the news review, but because we have a minute or so, and as we wrap up, there's a lot happening within CORD that cannot go unmentioned, and the proposal to form to register a political party, the proposal from Ford Kenya that there be a position of chief minister or prime minister created, which yesterday the people I hosted yesterday, my panel was saying is totally unconstitutional. Plus, there seems to be a confusion between the three major affiliate parties of CORD on what exactly this proposal is. Is it joint nominations from top down? Is it just a joint presidential ticket? Then for the rest of the seats, each party goes its own way. Is there a possibility that we could have a CORD on one particular constituency? We have someone running on CORD ticket, another one running on Ford Kenya, another one running on ODM. Is it possible? What exactly is this proposal? And is it clear to you?
Yeah, Fred, I don't sit in the CORD management committee at that top leadership. I'm just a member of CORD, and of course a member of Parliament through CORD. But I know there are structures and teams, discussing how CORD can actually seize state power.
So the process is still not clear.
What we are, of course, they have not communicated to the general membership. So these are thoughts largely by independent parties. I think as informal proposals to that team of people who are looking at how we can seize power. But let me say that the business of any political party or coalition is to seize power. And being in CORD, I'm happy with the suggestion that we can have a presidential candidate in CORD. And then being in CORD, I would be happy with the suggestion that can secure our numbers in Parliament. I was telling my brother here a short while ago that the tyranny of numbers Jubilee is talking about is a myth. Because when you go outside there, the majority of Kenyans are corded, if you've been, watching what is happening around. Yes, in Parliament we have few people. And let me tell you how we ended up at a situation where we have few people. If you look at the Kisii region, for instance, over 80% of the votes went to Raila Odinga. But in terms of MPs, if you chose even just Kisii County alone, leaving Nyamira, out of the 9 members of Parliament, CORD has only 3. Why? Because in all these constituencies, you're having a situation where you have an ODM candidate, a Ford Kenya candidate, a Wiper candidate. They split the CORD votes among themselves, and the Jubilee candidate passes through. Go to Maasai and areas like Kajiado. You see Peris Tobiko winning against an ODM candidate by barely 1,000 votes. Yet the Wiper candidate, who also stood with this ODM candidate, had over 7,000 votes in a situation where people were voting along, coalition patterns.
Are you
Nairobi will not
that should be the way to go for?
So I would be very happy, personally, though it is still an informal thing, with a situation where, for instance, if Ford Kenya had a candidate in the town constituency, which I represent, let them have that candidate. If ODM wills, let me be their candidate. If Wiper as a candidate, then we go for a competitive arrangement, and then we have a single CORD candidate.
Is that how you will lead the proposal?
I think it is important, since I was one of the people to which the headlines were attributed yesterday, to clarify that the current debate would not have found itself into the pages of the newspapers, and unless the unfortunate incident whereby a discussion that has been going on for months was inadvertently brought into the media by Wiper.
Yes.
When Wiper talked about it, ODM followed suit and talked about it. It was only normal that Ford Kenya also talks about it, so that our constituency understands our position within those boardroom discussions.
So you're saying the boardroom discussions are still on?
The boardroom discussions are going on, as Kaluma has said. Nothing is concluded. And let me just, before I answer you, and I responded by seeking out the Secretary General. He was in China. Seeking out the party leader. He was in the US. And when we did teleconferencing, we agreed on the statement that I eventually read to the country. So the answer is yes, ODM is going to have, ODM, Wiper and Ford Kenya are going to have joint nominations.
Okay.
But those joint nominations are going to be done in an intelligent manner. If you do it stupidly, again you lose out. The case that Kaluma has spoken to, i.e. like in Makadara in Nairobi, Aladwa today would be a member of parliament. The combined votes of Ford Kenya and Wiper candidates were around 10,000, and yet Aladwa lost by only 1,200. He would be MP today. So what we have now, as Ford Kenya, what we are saying is that Nairobi is such a unique constituency as a county that we need to sit down and map out constituencies and wards based on the perceived strength of these parties. Like, for example, let me give you, if you go to Langata, there's no way you can beat ODM. Similarly to Kibra. But immediately you go to Kawangware, there's no way ODM can claim not to be challenged. For the reason that the politics of this country are highly ethnicized. That is a problem.
What about the issue of the Prime Minister or Chief Minister's position as we wrap up? Because does it therefore mean that Ford Kenya already knows who will be third, if at all the three principals of court decide to seek a nomination for the presidential ticket? That you already know number 3 is so and so, so yes, let's fight for this position.
Exactly. That is intellectual dishonesty. Intellectual dishonesty in the sense that when somebody wants to move the frontier of thought beyond the current to nearer to the ideal, then you are intimidated that you are doing this for self-preservation.
Or it is unconstitutional.
Or it is unconstitutional.
It is unconstitutional.
Ford Kenya is merely thinking out of the box, saying that surely we have 3 core principles, or they might end up being 4. We are looking forward to a few other core principles joining us. And there will only be 2 positions available, the president and his deputy. Surely, unless you think the supporters of the other core principles are imbeciles or robots, they will be asking that core principle, what is our stake in this particular government? So we are saying, open the constitution. Where does it make it illegal when the president is not naming his cabinet from saying that the member shall be the chief minister
or prime minister,
or shall be the senior minister or prime minister or principal minister
Final word.
Okay, I think I will speak to the 2 coalitions, Jubilee represented by Maura and CORD represented by the 2 MPs. To CORD, they have a very powerful message: the issue of inclusivity, and the issue of equity, and the issue of national cohesion. They need then to back it up by a clear and well executed strategy. To Jubilee, their challenge is that they do not know how to tell their story. There are different things that they have done, but their story is segmented. So what people are hearing is noise rather than a well articulated story. Maura, tell your story well.
30 seconds.
Yeah, we are moving forward as a nation. Let us be free to create a nation where there is equity, and the idea that you know, all our resources belong to us and we can you know, share them. I want to tell the people of Kenya to wait for the CORD government coming next year. And don't worry about who will be the presidential candidate or whoever. What we know is that we are tired of negative ethnicity, exclusion, and corruption. Okay. And its end must be next year.
I think the desire for uniting this country cannot be underscored. I think the people really need to come together. I think in Ruiru constituency you have 26% non-Kikuyu population, and they also need to be included when they elect me as a member of parliament, and that is my intention. Okay. And I think Bonnie has actually put it very clearly that the problem with our country is that we have ethnic politics, but good leaders must always get the opportunity to continue serving their people. And I think for me that is my desire, and I want to imagine that with very good programs like the presidential special program for special schools under the special interest is very important at a cost of about 900 million is what we need to discuss. In fact, next week I'll be meeting CS Matiang'i to discuss further. And if you even look at the papers today, Fred, you'll find on page 3 of the Standard about the case of Sharon Makungu, a young girl who I have really worked very hard to ensure that she gets justice, and now at least she has prosthetics from the Red Cross and Rotary International. I've taken a lawyer to her, Mr. Lempa. I've taken her to school. These are the kind of things we need to see leaders doing so that they can transform, the lives of our people.
Okay, thank you so much. By virtue of you being the guest today, 30 seconds, please.
I have been so pained over the last 4 years by the abuse by the government of the principle of inclusivity, whereby they have dished out opportunities, resources to areas they deemed either voted for them or which they want to woo so as to vote for them. I therefore want to go back to Kenyans and ask them to demand of CORD that it must be very clear in black and white on how they will handle the issue of inclusivity. Any CORD co-principal who wants to sweep this matter under the carpet simply wants to use the numbers that are there available in the CORD controlled areas to come to the top and again start doing what Jubilee is doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bwana Boni Halwale, Senator of Kakamega County, Isaac Mwaura, nominated member of the National Assembly, Peter Kaluma, MP Homa Bay, and Vincent Kimoso, policy analyst. Thank you for helping us look at the headlines this morning. This is indeed the Power Breakfast. Continue the hashtag to use, remember, is Power Breakfast. At Citizen TV Kenya is our Twitter handle, at Freddy Ndimuli, at Mwaura Isaac 1, at Vicky Mosop, at K Boni Mtetezi. The conversation continues. In a while, my colleagues Joey and Willis Praburu will be looking at the very interesting inside pages of the Friday papers. For now, let's move on to them.